here first or risk finding out after everyone else.
This is Richmond's Morning News with Rich Herrera on News Radio WRVA.
I don't know. Does that really feel like Iran wants to have a peace deal? It's still rather provocative during a ceasefire. We'll talk about that with Jim Gilmore coming up in the 8 o'clock hour. But I do want to turn my attention to something that I've kind of kept my mouth shut about. And Dave and I were talking about this. Do we want to talk about it on Richmond's Morning News? Do we not want to talk about it? But I think it's something I do need to speak up on. I'm going to get your thoughts as well. That's why the James River Air text line is open for you this morning. 833-804-1140. 833-804-1140. And it's about celebrities. You know, you look back, the Democratic National Committee just released their autopsy. What happened? Well, you spent $1.5 billion and you didn't get Kamala Harris elected as president of the United States. That's what happened. Why? Well, there's a lot of different reasons. You could talk about Joe Biden. You could talk about the short window that she had, all the rest. One of the big reasons why she didn't win is because of, quote unquote, in my opinion, Brat Summer. You remember Brat Summer? That's when Charlie XCX, who, if she walked into this room, I would not know who she was. But she's an influencer. She's a pop diva. She's a artist that's British. And she said, Kamala Harris, she's Brat. And her campaign took off and ran with it. Brat Summer. That's what we're going to do. We're going to lean into what Brat is. Brat's a girl who's not afraid to speak her mind, say what she has, and just have sass is kind of what they said Brat Summer was. So that's what she was going to be leaning into, her support of young single women. Brat Summer rules. Joe Biden is out. Brat Summer's in. Donald Trump went bro summer and hung out with Joe Rogan, and we saw what happened. But it brings me to the point of this, and we see it with Jackson Dart right now. He's a quarterback for the New York Football Giants, in case you didn't know. Donald Trump appeared in New York, and he went on stage and had the audacity to introduce him, to which one of his teammates publicly called him out. Bruh, what are you doing? Now, all of a sudden, he goes on and introduces Donald Trump, and he is now the most despicable person in the entire world. This is why I wanted to bring this up. Here's Bomani Jones, ESPN commentator, on his podcast talking about Jackson Dart. Take a listen.
This idea that we don't care about the politics of athletes, yes, we do. Now, whether you care enough about the politics that it affects whether or not you root for them on your team, that becomes a different situation, and that becomes just a little bit tricky, right? Like, if you are a Giants fan, will you stop rooting for the Giants because Jackson Dart?
All right, enough of Bomani Jones. I didn't work with Bomani Jones, but he used to be a weekly guest of mine on a radio show I did down in Tampa, and we would clash all the time. And this is where I really began to feel like I was misaligned in my career, because Bomani would go on and talk about everything progressive under the sun, and he was one of the most celebrated voices at ESPN. I would say anything that was borderline conservative, and I would get called in the office and told to be quiet. I would get emails and memos, hey, no politics, stick to sports. And while there are lots of people at ESPN, Jamal Hill, Bomani Jones, there's lots of people, Dan Lebitard, they would go political all the time. If I dared to say anything conservative, I was shut down, shut up, and ostracized and threatened with my job. So I said, okay, maybe I belong in news talk, and that's really where all this started. But I want to bring something up, because Jackson Dart's getting beat to heck for just having the audacity to show up to introduce the president. Two things come to mind. I want to get your thoughts. Again, 833-804-1140. Number one, when was it, where was it, and how was it decided that only liberals and progressives were able to appear on stage, introduce, or even talk about someone they supported? Jackson Dart didn't give a campaign speech. He simply introduced the president of the United States. But I see lots of people on the left have introduced, endorsed, campaigned for spoken up. Heck, Bruce Springsteen does it on his stupid tour. They're never vilified the way that Jackson Dart is simply for standing up and introducing the current sitting president of the United States. He didn't endorse him. He didn't do anything other than introduce the president of New York, who was in New York, president of the United States, who was in New York as the football team quarterback in New York. Just, I mean, it's. I'm having a hard time explaining because it's so simple, so ridiculous. Yet he is the most maligned person in the whole wide world. For the tolerant left, they're awfully intolerant if you dare just even be around the president of the United States. Mention his name, and it'll bring indignation and people screaming and yelling and cursing and calling you the worst person in the whole wide world. That's one. But the thing I really wanted to ask, there's all this controversy right now about the Democrats and their autopsy, and they really didn't go into anything. They didn't talk about Biden and his mental decline and anything else. But the one thing that I noticed they didn't mention was how much money they spent on trying to have celebrities, artists, and influencers campaign for them. So my big question to you this morning is, do you care if your favorite actor has an opinion on politics? Do you care if a MVP football player wants to tell you how to vote? Do you care if some singer that maybe you've heard of, maybe you haven't, has an opinion on an issue, a policy, or a politician? Do any of these things really, really, really matter? That's my big question to you this morning, right? When Oprah gets up and campaigns for Harris, does it matter to you? When Robert De Niro goes out and on one of his tirades against Donald Trump, do you take him seriously? Do you sit and listen to him like, I think I'm going to change the way I vote because Robert De Niro said this? When Ed Begley Jr., who's a big environmentalist, comes out and starts talking about the evils of driving your car, did you sit down and go, you know what? Darn right. I think I'm going to stop driving my car. When any of these Hollywood people, here's a perfect one. The guy who played Hulk, Mark Ruffalo, loves to get out there and talk. Do you take him seriously? Does it actually influence you or anybody you know or help you come up with your opinion? George Clooney. George Clooney has gone from someone who reads lines given to him to someone who gives lines as if he were a world leader. When George Clooney speaks to you, listen. I mean, there's also those on the right that have come out. I'm watching Bruce Pearls on TV right now, former head coach at Auburn. He has come out on the conservative side. Does he help you decide, I think I'm going to vote for the Republicans because what Bruce Pearl said? Do any of these people mean anything? Do you trust any of these people? Do any of these people have valid opinions? If not, why do we pay attention to them? I watch all the cable news channels, and it is amazing. Anytime somebody in Hollywood speaks up, we act as if they are sitting behind the Resolute desk. We act as if an actor is standing talking to the United Nations, and what they have to say is really important, thought out, researched, and they're articulate. Oh, well, you realize I was in a Spider-Man movie. So now let me tell you why we should have this border policy. And I'm very, very secure in my thoughts. And, well, the reason you should pay attention to me is I was in a Spider-Man movie. Oh, I should be able to tell you and influence you to how you should feel about ICE. Why? Because I wrote a song and sang it in front of thousands of people. Therefore, that makes me someone who knows more than you. It's the ultimate in elitism to think that you're a famous actor, famous musician, an influencer, that you are qualified to tell everybody else and everybody else should listen to you. So I do want to ask you this question. when you have it, and we're going to start seeing it in the midterms, we'll see it in the next presidential election, when Hollywood shows up, when the music industry shows up, does anybody care what they have to say, or do you just kind of look like I do, like, what do you know about any of this?
1 minute to A Plus Roofing.
833-804-1140, 833-804-1140. You know what? If they asked me to introduce the president of the United States, I would do it. I would be proud to do it. And I don't care what party he would come from. It's the office. You respect the office. If you don't respect the man, the least you can do is respect the office. Like in Band of Brothers, when they told one of the characters, "Hey, you salute the office, not the man." Same thing with the president of the United States. If you asked me to introduce Barack Obama and he was president of the United States, I do it because I respect the Oval Office. Joe Biden, I do it because I respect the Oval Office. Maybe I don't agree with the man, but I respect the office. Jackson Dart did that, and he's now being vilified. But again, it goes back to, do I really care what any of these people have to say? Do you care what any of these celebrities have to say, or does it just make you feel good? Oh, someone famous agrees with me. 833-804-1140. Number for you to join us. We read the best text messages coming up at 6:55, 7:55, and 8:55. Today's program brought to you in part by A Plus Roofing. Hey, you